Kevin Ballister, who many of you know, and if you don't, you will meet him soon. And we work with something called feedabrain.com. Just over a year ago, I had a craniotomy for removal of a brain tumor, a benign brain tumor. And I was left with the brain injury from the brain tumor as well as the surgery itself. And in my recovery, I learned that the key that was really going to help me gain my brain function back was my nutrition. I tried so many modalities and therapies and so much that my doctors didn't even recommend that I found on my own, but nutrition was key. And in finding the path to recovery, I found Kevin Ballister, who runs a blog and podcast at adventuresinbraininjury.com. And in all the things that he talks about and the people that he interviews there, I became inspired to change my career from being a formerly practicing attorney to changing the world of neurorehabilitation and helping others to optimize their brain function and repair. It just so happens at the time that I contacted Kevin to talk to him about how to do something like that. He's been preparing for the launch of a book called How to Feed Your Brain, Nutrition for Optimal Brain Function and Repair. So I thought it was almost fate. Well, it was fate that we would begin to work together. And the nutrition changes that I've made, which Kevin also made in his own life, is the kind of stuff backed by scientific research that can help to optimize your brain function. And he's written about that in his book. It can help any kind of neurological disease or a tumor, stroke, all kinds of stuff that will change your brain function, but also for someone with a normal brain as well. And so we are working on that together as a team. Kevin, come on up. It's going his turn to introduce himself.
Well, hello, everybody.
Hi.
Hi.
So about my story, if you haven't met me before, about 6 years ago, I fell 20 feet from a rooftop water tower, and I had a severe traumatic brain injury, a kind of brain injury that statistically 90% never wake from. And of those who do, most are in a vegetative state. So I'm extremely lucky. I didn't eat, walk, or talk for months. My left hand was totally flexed inward. I was breathing through a tube in my neck, receiving nutrition through a tube in my belly. And long story short, lots of work regaining some skills, or some abilities rather. And then at one point I was steered towards a nutritional protocol, and I began regaining some clarity, and I was like, whoa. There's some to nutrition. So I dove into studying. I began to research metabolism, neurometabolism, mechanisms of neuroplasticity. Meanwhile, I'm stuck in my mom's house. But there's this thing called the internet, Wi-Fi. And so I began to contact practitioners all over the world, introduce myself, tell them where I am, what's been going on, what I've learned, and asking them if they could help me in different ways. And so I have many mentors who have taught me throughout the years, and I am going to release a book called How to Feed Your Brain, Nutrition for Optimal Brain Function and Repair, like Elizabeth said. And this thing has the backing of so many incredible practitioners, and I'm just like extremely honored. In fact, what is it, just a couple weeks ago, we got an endorsement from Dr. David Perlmutter, which is fantastic.
And many others that you guys I'm sure would recognize, but we can't go into them all now.
So when Elizabeth contacted me, which was a month
6 weeks ago.
yeah, not even that long ago, she contacted me as a client, and I was consulting her, and I do free 30-minute consultations. We started talking, and I'm like, let's talk again. Let's do that again. And we had a couple more, and I was like, and she said, you know, I'm looking to improve the standard model in neurorehabilitation. And I was like, you're copying me. I was like, yeah, I've heard that before, right? It says that right on my blog. Come on.
I didn't know that. I didn't read his blog. I had vision issues.
She's not the biggest fan. She's heard all the podcasts, but hasn't read all the blog. I guess it's hard when your vision and your brain and vision integration isn't quite functioning optimally. So talked to her for a long time, and I'm like, you're for real? And so we've been given this opportunity to change the standard model in neurorehabilitation. But on top of that, the understanding of the brain and what we can do to properly support its function.
I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt you.
And let me tell this aspect of it. A couple months ago, I was Yeah, well,
So we have one other
this is
part.
what I'm saying. This is what I'm telling the story. So, a couple months ago, I was, stop it. I'm getting there. A couple months ago, I was at a breathing class, and I heard this, somebody I knew was talking to this other guy who I didn't know, but he was to teach a class on nutrition coming up, and I began listening to this conversation. I'm like, this guy knows what he's talking about. What I forgot to mention is I've been working for a functional nutritionist in Portland, Oregon for the past 2 years. And I hear him talking, and I'm like, you know what you're talking about. And introduced myself, and he was like, I'm teaching a class. And I'm like, I'm coming. So I came, and we have been working together since. So I'd like to introduce to you, if you haven't met him before, this is Zach Nasser.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for the warm welcome. So 12 years ago, I used to be 100 pounds heavier. I was depressed. I was just really spinning my wheels. And in my personal journey of health and discovery, I lost over 100 pounds through cleansing and detoxification. And I wanted to be a doctor for the longest time. And having taken my health into my own hands and taken responsibility for that, and learning how to heal myself by pursuing wellness instead of fighting off illness, you know, instead of thinking of yourself as this broken, damaged thing that needs to be fixed, chasing the wellness, pursuing that, and really building myself up, I realized I wanted to create wellness. So over the last decade, I've been studying how to, like Artemis, how to heal every disease and disease process on mental, emotional, and especially the physical level, actually nuts and bolts of nutrition, nutrients, herbs. So my big thing recently has been hormone balancing, and brain balancing comes before hormone balancing. So when Kevin and I started talking, like, the diets that we use and the protocols are like exactly the same. We were like, okay, because first your neurons get fixed by things like pregnenolone and DHEA, and those same neuron hormones, memory hormones, become the sex hormones. Your body's like, first fix the nervous system, then we can reproduce, okay? We gotta figure out some other things first. Before we reproduce, we gotta fix our brain.
Yeah, this book has many applications.
Yeah, it does. It's huge. I actually...
You can make babies too?
Yeah. You can create life. So somebody that I really want to mention as well is Dr. Terry Walls, who's been such a huge supporter, and she actually healed herself of multiple sclerosis using similar dietary protocols. She was in a reclining wheelchair, and now she's running triathlons. So she uses very similar protocols. We're in direct connection with her. She wrote a great review of the book. She'll be on the podcast soon. And so definitely stay in touch. Feedabrain.com. Check it out. Get the pre-release supplement guides now.
That was-
Speaking of supplements,
That was one thing I wanted to mention is Zach's on the team because of that area of knowledge. With the release of the book will also be some brain optimization supplement. So we're working on a bigger and broader picture as well. And so anyone who's interested in possibly being a sponsor or possibly even a source of loan money to helping us with the launch, we'd love to talk to you. And of course, anything else that would be synergistic affiliations, of course, we would also love to talk to you as well.
And to piggyback on that, you know, what's happening right now is we're getting everything together to launch this book and make the biggest impact on the world. What I failed to mention earlier is while I was receiving nutrition through a gastric tube, what is fed normally to patients? The ingredients are water, corn syrup, corn maltodextrin, calcium caseinate, soy protein isolate. Fortified corn syrup essentially is what we're feeding people that we're trying to get healthy. And this is not, I mean, these are the same ingredients in a candy bar, but this is not just one candy bar. This is breakfast, lunch, and dinner for months, years for hospice patients. Hospice patients that can't eat orally. They're receiving fortified corn syrup for their last meals.
So we're making a gastric feed with real foods. Yes.
First, what we're doing,
Great!
exactly, we're doing two things. We're targeting hospitals by creating a powdered gastric feed that's way, way better. And then another where you mix it with water and then you can feed it through a gastric feed. And then the like Cadillac or the Porsche or Lamborghini product would be the real food gastric feed. And we're working with Cauldron Bone Broth on that right now. So essentially we are looking to raise some money to get everything together for the launch of this book and for the launch of these products and changing not only rehabilitation but healthcare in general with the gastric
With the
feeds.
approach to nutrition.